What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Roy, accompanied by the one, the only, the Dominican bad man, Sergio, aka the floor price guy. And we're Combat Sport Guys, coming back to you with another UFC full card breakdown. UFC 310, Pantoja versus Asakura. We've been off for a week. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. If you celebrated in the States, if you're out of the States from another country, I hope you enjoyed the time off. It's been too long. I'm ready to see some fights. I'm ready to see some action. But before we get into it, how you been, my man?
Brother, I'm good, brother. We got a UFC 310. This is a banger of a card. This is old guard meets new guard. I expect to get a little bit of shit from you today, but let's fucking get it, champ.
And as always, we drop our UFC full fight card prediction video middle of the week. Towards the end of the week, we will tweet out on X our bets for you to consider, to look at. And then we will also immediately after this video tweet out our picks so you can see who we're rocking with in this card. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. Also, follow us on X. We are steadily growing that community. The last time we spoke, we had under 500 followers. Well, guess what? We've been grinding this week. We've been putting our foot to the gas, pedal to the metal, baby. We had 1,200 follows. We're interacting with champs. We quote tweeted a champ who was interacting with us, but yeah, we won't get into that. We won't brag. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe. Let us know what you think. We'll get into this card for UFC 310. Kicking off the card, we have Kennedy and Nzechukwu up against Brzeski. Nzechukwu is 13-5-0 and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts. Last beating your favorite, Chris Barnett, via KO TKO. Brzeski is 9-5-1 and is 1-5 in their last 5 bouts. Last getting knocked out by Mick Parkins. Now, this is Kennedy's second fight at heavyweight. We saw him make his debut in that weight class up against Chris Barnett. Although Barnett did suffer an injury, he did get it done. We didn't get to see a lot of what he brings to this new weight class, but I think in this fight he's gonna have the striking advantage. He as he normally does. He's freaking 6'6". How tall is he? Let me get his accurate height.
Let me check. He is.
Yeah, he's 6'5". That's what I thought.
6'5".
I wanted to be accurate. Yeah, at 6'5", he's always gonna have the height advantage. He has a striking ability, and I really want to see if this fight, if it goes past the first round, if it goes past the 1.5, how's his cardio look at this new weight class? But I think he's going to be able to pace himself. He's going to be able to keep Brzeski at range. He's going to be able to get it done. I'm going to go with Kennedy here.
I mean, the pick is Kennedy. There's something about the momentum of Kennedy. I mean, look, hope he learned from the OSP fight that he cannot, he has to take more chances. And the reality is when he fought Barnett, he put it on Barnett. Shout out to the GOAT. The GOAT, listen, the only reason why the GOAT lost because he did a backflip. My man got pissed because he's like, nah. That was the kick. That wasn't the jump.
Listen, if you're 265 pounds jumping around like you're 120, you got an issue, brother. What are we doing?
It's the GOAT. But yeah, Luque hasn't looked good as of his last 5 fights. His only win coming from Walter 7 months ago, decision. Everything else has been split decisions, finishes, and Parkin is a top dog. I'll be honest with you. Parkin is what do you call it? Luca's last opponent is an undefeated fighter. Did very well, but you got to give it to Kennedy on this one. Kennedy takes it. I think there's something, the mystique, the aura. Give it to Kennedy.
Yeah, and again, this is his second fight at heavyweight. I think he's powerful. He's going to keep him at range. He's going to slowly creep in and look for that power shot. And I'm interested to see how his movement and cardio looks if this fight progresses. So Kennedy is the pick. I'm going to go with the medium here. The odds at -550. A lot of these fights, when the odds are very big, we often get surprised, right? So I'm going to go with the medium here. How about you?
Yeah, medium. I think medium suits it pretty good for this guy. And a medium and a parlay for this one. It's going to be going on my parlay.
Nice. Next up, we have the old guard in Clay Guida. I know you love the old guard, my man. We got the old guard in Clay Guida up against the young whippersnapper Chase Hooper. Guida is 38, 24-0, and is 2-5 in their last 5 bouts, last losing to Joaquim Silva via unanimous decision. Hooper is 14, 3-1, and is 4-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Vyacheslav Borshev via submission Darce choke. I'm going to throw the rock to you. I'm going to let you kick this one off. Who you going with, man?
I didn't realize the record was that bad. The record is 38-24. Like my man likes to entertain. Shout out to Michael Chandler and Kevin Holland, bro. You got to give Guida the entertainer as well. We're gonna be calling these kind of things because, brother, it ain't about being an entertainer. It's about winning fights, and especially when you're dealing with people's monies and your own monies. But after evaluating certain critical conditions that we established, Chase did beat Clay Guida in a grappling match. I'll go with Hopper here, brother. That's.
You're changing. You're changing. Hold on. Yo, listen. Before the recording started, my man was confident. Say, "Yo, we're throwing some money on Guida. Guida's taking it." But at the end of the day, as you mentioned, we're degens. We like to bet, right? You throwing $10 or $5 on a veteran is not a bad thing if you're confident. If you like him.
I will say this with confidence. I'm throwing $10 on Clay Guida, but my pick is Hopper on a parlay.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Hooper as well. I think Guida, he doesn't have the most technique when it comes to his striking. He does have the wrestling, and he's not afraid to engage in the back and forth, right? We've seen him engage in some legendary exchanges. Diego Sanchez, that first round, if you go back and watch it, legendary first round. I think Hooper, he's the younger fighter. Has the momentum on his side, and he has the submission threat, right? And I think when you incorporate some of the striking along with the submission and the grappling threats, he's going to pull out either a decision win or he can maybe catch him again. We'll see if he catches him again. But I think Hooper has the momentum on his side, and he has the more tool set, I would say, to get this done. I'm going to go with Hooper. Medium. I'm going to go medium as well.
Low. I'll go low. I don't know. Hooper tends to fatigue a little bit. So
yeah. Right on. Next up, we have a men's welterweight bout. Michael Chiesa versus Max Griffin. Chiesa is 17-7-0 and is 2-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Tony Ferguson via submission. This is the Tony Ferguson of today, by the way. This isn't the Tony Ferguson of 7 years ago, 8 years ago. This is the Tony Ferguson of today. So although that is a good name to win against, it's not really that good when you consider how he's been performing in his last 9 fights. Anyways, Griffin is 20-10-0 and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Jeremiah Wells via split decision. Now, when you look at these two fights, these two fighters, it comes down to the overall game plan that they both bring to the table, right? Like if you look at the striking, Griffin has the advantage, but whereas you look at the grappling, that's Chiesa's kind of bread and butter, right? I think he is a superior grappler here. I think with his wrestling and his background with, getting high submission finishes. And then Griffin, looking at his record, he does have some submission losses. I think it's going to be concerning. If Chiesa can get this fight to the ground and kind of avoid the striking of Griffin, he can get this done. I think Chiesa is going to be the pick for me. He's going to be a low. I think if he can control where the fight is going and the pace of the fight, he can take the fight to the ground. He has multiple paths to victory. If the fight goes down to the ground, he can get the ground and pound, he can get the submission. So all he has to do is weather the initial, striking prowess of Griffin. But I'm gonna go with Chiesa low.
I gotta go with Chiesa too. I like Chiesa's kind of demeanor in this fight. The Tony Ferguson win, nothing to brag about, but it puts confidence on his record. And he went through a couple of tough guys, right? Like even that Kevin Holland fight, that was, I had him to win, but I don't know what happened with Chiesa. But he's back. Griffin is no joke. Griffin's footwork is, he has a very relentless pace. I'm a little bit hesitant. This is a low for Chiesa, but if Griffin is able to kind of put the pressure and start, being very cardio active like he does, he will over Chiesa. But if Chiesa is able to kind of hold him down, Griffin is a wrestler as well. So there's all these kind of variables and what if, but I got to go with Chiesa. I think Chiesa is the guy with the experience. He's fought the tougher battles on this one.
Yeah. All right. So we're both going with Chiesa. It's going to be a low. We'll move on here to a men's flyweight bout. I just realized there's no women on this card. It's interesting, huh?
First time, brother.
You would think they're fighting in, somewhere out in the east.
What's funny, bro, is like, this card, like in China, they had a lot of women fight, and it's just interesting how that is. Eh?
Yeah, they probably overloaded, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna take a break this one, bring him back for Tampa. Next up, we have a men's flyweight bout: Cody Durden versus Joshua Van. Durden is 17-6-1 and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating your boy Matt Schnell via submission. Van on the other end is 11-2-0 and is 4-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Edgar Chairez via unanimous decision at UFC Noche Latina. Now, I'm going to go with Joshua Van in this fight. I know a lot of people are picking, I look at X, I've seen YouTube. A lot of people are picking Cody Durden based on the fact that he could wrestle, and they think he's going to capitalize on bringing this fight to the ground. But I think Van, he is improving with every fight. He's young. He's a good contender. I think he's going to keep the fight standing. He does have okay takedown defense. If he does get taken down, he can bring it back up to the feet. I think what he's going to do is going to keep the fight standing. He's going to utilize his striking prowess to keep Durden at bay, and will look for opportunities or significant strikes to get a knockout. He's going to really get in the pocket. And if you look at Van, he has really good boxing. I like his boxing. All he has to do is really avoid the ground game. But I think, being younger, being powerful, improving with every fight, I'm going to go with Van here.
Yeah, man, and look, style makes fights, and I got to go with Van. We're picking the same. It's interesting. But, I think the Matt Schnell fight, Matt took that first round like a gangster. And then going into the second round, he gave up that choke. He gave it up. And, Cody Durden was putting pressure on. They fought a common opponent here, Charles Johnson. Van losing to Johnson by knockout, and Cody Durden winning by decision. Again, MMA math is not what it seems. I didn't like. Well, he also fought a little bit. What do you call it? Matt Schnell fought heavier. He doesn't fight at bantamweight. So, yeah, I'll be honest. I'm just gonna go with Van. I think Van has the punching. Against his fight in Noche to the UFC against Edgar Chairez, he impressed because he was quote unquote concussed 4 months ago, and now he's fighting again.
And he took the fight on short notice too. A lot of people don't remember.
This is his 5th fight in the last year, eh? Going with Van. This one's going to be a medium.
Really, he's fought 5 times this year, or are you? Let me see.
As of Saturday, 5 times.
Oh wow, interesting.
Crazy,
yeah. I'm gonna go with Van as well. I think, I think he's improving. He's young. He's getting better with each fight. And if you look at him, like you mentioned, he came in concussed. Off of a concussion. He wasn't concussed for the fight, but he came off of a concussion. He came in on short notice. He looked good. I think with the full camp, he knows the threat that's in front of him. He's gonna get it done. Joshua Van is the pick. It's gonna be a medium. Speaking of young guns, next up we have a men's bout. We have some young fellas here. We got Chris Weidman up against Eric Anders. I'm being sarcastic, by the way. Weidman is 16-7-0 and is 2-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Bruno Silva via unanimous decision, where he had a couple of eye pokes, right? A couple of eye pokes. Anders is 16-8-0 and is 2-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Jamie Pickett via unanimous decision. And it's interesting because in the last fight you said that we're kind of going with the same fighters, and I feel like this one's going to be different. Just for the people watching, Floor Press Guy and myself, we don't talk about who we're going with for the fights. We do our research, and then once we're both ready, we film this, and then without knowing who we're going with, we discuss to allow a bit of an entertainment factor, a little bit of disagreement and conversation for when we film these things, right? We don't always agree. We're not always right, but we're always respectful in our interactions. And I think for this fight, I have a feeling you're going to go with Weidman because that's who you went with last time, right? When he was supposed to be on the UFC 309 card, and I chose Anders. So Anders is going to be the pick for myself. Important note, they aren't fighting at 185. They're fighting at 196 at a catch weight. I think, they weren't able to cut down enough, from Thanksgiving dinner. So they're coming in at 195. I'm gonna go with Anders though, and the same thing. It's a striker versus a grappler scenario. I think. Excuse me.
It's okay. I just don't like how Anders has been moving in his last couple of fights. Let me tell you something, champ. There was a time where Anders was fighting Lyoto Machida,
Yeah.
and Anders was a he was a significant favorite. He was like a minus 600. Your
Yeah.
boy here, he went on with the old guard at a plus 400 Machida.
So
I don't know. I just he looks stuck in the mud, stuck in the mud.
I think I understand why you chose Weidman for 309, right? Because he's from Jersey. The fight was on the East Coast. Had it gone to a decision, the judges would have favored the hometown cat, right? He's put in the work, he's former champ, right? He would have pulled it off. But I think this fight here in Vegas, Anders is an ex-football player. He has the striking prowess over Weidman. He can catch him, right?
Yeah.
I know. I'm gonna go with Anders here. I think Anders pulls it out.
We're gonna see.
It's gonna be a low for myself, though. What do you think?
Super low.
Super low. You're gonna go with Weidman, right?
This fight is one of the most even fights I've seen in a while, actually. This is the definition of even.
Yeah, and again, no disrespect to Weidman, but if Weidman's able to if he's able to utilize his grappling and really have that as his game plan, he can pull out the decision win. But I think he's gonna engage in the striking. He's gonna get caught by Anders. I don't think Anders knocks him out, but there's gonna be some significant strikes hit and landed on Weidman. So we'll see. Next up, though, we have a banger of a fight. My boy, the French villain. My man left France, with multiple bodyguards, man. He cut one of the best promos I've seen all year. I'm huge on Bryan Battle. We got a welterweight bout in Randy Brown up against Bryan Battle. Brown is 19-5-0 and is 4-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Eliseo Zaleski via unanimous decision. Battle is 11-2-0 and is 4-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Kevin Jousset via KO TKO punches. No disrespect to Randy Brown. I think he's a good technical striker. He is the better striker of the two. He has good boxing. He's able to move in and out, utilize his combinations. He can fight off his back and bring the fight back to its feet if needed, if he does get taken down. Battle, on the other end, is well-rounded. He's a prospect. He's getting better with each fight, in my opinion, and he does have decent striking and grappling. My only concern with him, and I said this in our post-fight recap for UFC Paris, was Bryan Battle does get hit a lot. Kevin Jousset hit him a lot in the face, and one of the things I hope that he improved on and I want to see in this fight is his defense when it comes to striking. His head defense. Does he protect himself? Because against Randy Brown, getting hit that much, if Randy Brown hits him the amount of times that Kevin Jousset hits him, could be long, bruv. Could be long, and yeah, he could be out of there. But I want to see him improve on his striking defense, but I think Battle has the momentum. He's getting better with each fight. He has multiple paths to victory. He can stand in the striking, utilize his height, and kind of utilize his combinations and then take him down, mix it up. But I'm gonna go with Battle here. It's gonna be a medium.
Yeah, and I mean, look, what are the odds for this fight? Let me look at the Bulldog odds. They jack up the rate for Bulldog because there's no KYC, by the way. That's why they jack up the rates a bit.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know about a minus 235. My brother just beat a Frenchman. I went for the Frenchman. He lost. Shout out to the French killer. My man needs to change his image to the French killer, and every card needs to be in France. Because, brother, I would always watch. I would never miss a card. But that being said, it's a hard one because the French dude, he's good. City kickboxing. He punches good, but does not have as much power as Rude Boy. Rude Boy does have power. I also like the length of Rude Boy.
Yeah.
Rude Boy his length is going to be pretty significant in this fight. I'm just to go opposite as you. I'm going to go Randy Brown. I think Randy Brown is going to snipe him from range. It's going every time Bryan comes in, he's going to probably stop him. It's a low. Where this could change, and I'm concerned.
Yeah.
If Battle puts the same level of pressure, grappling, striking, and moves his head, he has a shot. But if he doesn't, if we start seeing this, my boy's getting out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my only concern looking at Battle, and based on his last fight, is his head movement. I want to see him, move his head more and defend himself and not get hit so much. Because, like you said, if Randy Brown is able to utilize his reach advantage and piece him up and then kind of break him down that way, it's going to be long, bruv. But I like Battle. I'm big on Battle. I like him. I think he's going to pull it out. It's going to be a medium.
Medium? Really?
Yes, sir.
All right, champ. Okay.
Next up, we have a banger of a fight. It's going to be extremely entertaining. We have a men's featherweight bout. We have Movsar Evloev up against Aljamain Sterling. Evloev is 18-0 and is 5-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Arnold Allen via unanimous decision. Sterling is 24-4-0 and is 4-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Calvin Kattar via unanimous decision. The former bantamweight champ is this his second fight at lightweight?
This is his second fight at featherweight.
At featherweight, I'm sorry, at featherweight. So his debut fight was against Calvin Kattar, right? Let's see.
Yes, sir. Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar. My God, Kattar. Was 7 months ago. It was a UFC 300 actually.
Yeah, I saw that live. Okay, so that was his debut to a featherweight fight. Yeah, so I think this fight is, to break it down very simple, it's going to be wrestler versus wrestler, who has the better grappling. And I think Movsar, he's been at this weight class. He's the bigger fighter. He's the superior grappler, in my opinion. And no disrespect to the former champ. He has the momentum. He's 18-0. I think he's gonna get it done here. I think he's gonna pull out a victory.
Listen, we gotta disagree on this. I think my boy Aljo comes in said, I think my guy's been gaining weight. My boy's been on the meatloaf diet. He's been having a couple enchiladas with Matt Serra playing VR. I think he understands the mission. I think he, going into this fight, not many, like, Aljo's known for his grappling. There's wrestling and then there's grappling. They're just similar.
Yeah.
Same. But grappling is the king of grappling. Was the king grappling at
bantamweight.
At bantamweight. I think now he realized that he needs to, he needed to get stronger. He needed to, cut less weight. I think, that Sean O'Malley lost, you probably have to attribute it, besides getting caught, he was cutting too much weight. Aljo's a big dude. His frame is massive. Well, my guy's an Adonis. Shout out to him. Shout out to Creed too. That being said, going with Aljo, there's going to be a lot of sneaky things thrown by Aljo in this fight. If his cardio is able to hold up against this cat, he takes it. So I'm looking for Aljo.
Yeah, okay. I'm going with Movsar. I think, he's going to take that. This fight obviously is going to be taken to the ground. And I think on the ground, Movsar is going to be able to dictate the pace and, control the positioning. He's going to win through decision. Now, do you think, since they're both grapplers, because we've seen this in the past when we get two grapplers, right? They try to strike because they both respect their grappling prowess. Do you think we're going to see these two cats strike? And if so, who do you give the striking advantage to?
It's a hard one. I mean, like, we saw what happened against Allen, and he was successful at times against Allen. It's just the switch up, but I think Aljamain Sterling's unorthodox hands are just crazy. His kicks, and he's gonna be doing a lot of stuff, champ. Who gets the edge here? I think Aljo does. Aljo has very good striking. What do you give? All right.
Here we are. Yeah, I think he does have the advantage when it comes to striking. He doesn't have the power so much, but he does have the slight advantage. But yeah, we'll see. The pick still is Movsar. I'm gonna go with the medium, and we'll go from there.
Low for me.
Next up, we have Vicente Luque up against Themba Gorimbo. Luque is 22-10-1 and is 2-5 in their last 5 bouts, last losing to Joaquin Buckley via KO TKO. He was originally supposed to fight Nick Diaz, but Nick Diaz, for some reason, has been pulling out of all his fights, right? I don't know what that man is going through. There's some videos circulating. I hope he's all right. Doesn't look good, bruv. But he's going up against Themba Gorimbo, who is 14-4-0 and is 4-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Nico Price via unanimous decision. I'm going to go with Gorimbo here. despite Luque having the experience, having fought the better competition, I think this is Gorimbo's biggest challenge. And his path to victory is going to be keeping up the pressure, utilizing his cardio to outlast Luque, and capitalize on any openings for takedowns and ground control. If he's able to, take him down multiple times, secure points that way, pushing forward, dictating the pace, he could lead to a decision win. He's going to outwork Luque basically. I'm gonna go with Gorimbo. The only way I see Luque winning is if Luque knocks him out. But do you think Luque is gonna knock him out?
I just don't like his performance. Like I was very critical on his performance against RDA.
Yeah.
RDA, especially RDA is a fluctuation guy. RDA be up, down. RDA, like, yeah, man. I'm not gonna talk about RDA. Let me talk about Luque. The trend that he's been going through, I have not liked, and I understand. The power advantage go to Gorimbo. The technical advantage might go to Luque. The heart advantage has to go with Gorimbo. Shout out to him. I think Zimbabwe. He's a fighter that the Rock actually hooked him up, and he was known for that guy. But he's been putting on a great display of power. So yeah. Besides that, I got to go with Gorimbo. He's probably going to go 5-6 in his last fights. So go with Gorimbo.
Yeah, and again, this is like his toughest competition to date. So we'll see what happens with him. We'll see if he has it or not to make it in this division. But yeah, Gorimbo's going to be the pick. It's going to be a medium for myself. We'll go on to the next one. We have a men's light heavyweight bout. We have Anthony Smith up against Dominic Reyes. Smith is 37-20 and is 2-5 in their last 5 bouts, last losing to Roman Dolidze via unanimous decision. Reyes is 13-4-0 and is 1-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Dustin Jacoby via KO TKO. If this fight would have happened a couple years ago, I would have been more excited for this fight. I think these two guys are in similar positions where they're kind of fluctuate, like you mentioned. They fluctuate, and they look good one fight, they look bad for a stint of others, right? And I think that's what we see in both their records reflect that. I think who you going with in this fight? I'll have you break it down first.
Oh man, I could clearly tell you this. I don't like what I've seen from Anthony Smith. I just Reyes has a chin problem, but Smith has an issue of conditioning, cardio, athleticism. His body has changed. He is the older fighter. And I mean, look, he's more a full-time job at commentating with the UFC. With Reyes, I mean, look, those odds are disgusting odds. If you're putting 340, GG's, my boy. I don't know why you're doing that. I'm not betting on both these individuals. I think Dominic Reyes, based on their last fight, you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, if you follow the zag of Mr. Smith, he loses and wins, loses and wins, loses and wins. I think Reyes corrected his mistakes. If you ask me today, if Dustin Jacoby were to fight Anthony Smith, I would have to give it to Dustin Jacoby with the most respect. I just don't like, as a fighter who, I think Reyes' IQ is higher than that to beat him. I'll tell you that.
I think if Reyes is able to catch him early, he could win this fight, right? He has the power behind his hands, but he's also chinny. He does get dropped. I think if Smith, utilizes his leg kicks and really utilizes his grappling and manages his energy, he could pull away with some points. And, as this fight progresses, they're both big boys. They're both going to gas out. So I think he's going to utilize that to his advantage, and the game plan is going to be to possibly take down Reyes, get him tired, and in the later rounds win him off a point. So I'm gonna go with Smith here. Man, I'm gonna go with Smith, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Smith. I'm gonna be the opposition to you here.
You bankrolling that? You putting some dinero?
Listen, I'm not. I'm probably gonna stay away from this fight, man. To be honest, I'm gonna stay away from this fight. To be honest, I don't suggest. I'm picking Anthony. But don't.
What's the quote that Connor says? Connor's not, Connor's in hot water right now. Well, what's the quote? Augusta win? What's that quote?
I don't know. I'm not sure what quote you're referencing.
Oh man, it's something with the chin with win. It's you.
This is the As of now on Topology, this is the featured prelim, right? Is Anthony Smith versus Dominic Reyes.
I can
So,
bet on Fight Night it won't be. It can't be. It can't be this one.
so we're getting into the main card here. We have a featherweight bout. We somewhat broke this down on Twitter. If you've been following us on Twitter, we broke down a couple of the main card fights. Very, very short, but there is some summary on Twitter regarding these fights. We have a featherweight bout. Nate Landwehr up against Don Hoy Choi. Landwehr is 18-5-0 and is 4-5 in their last 5 bouts. Last beating Jamal Amers via KO TKO. Choi is 15-4-1 and is 1-5 in their last 5 bouts. Last beating Bill Algeo via KO TKO. They're both known for their striking aggression. You know, Choi has 13 out of his 15 wins via KO TKO, whereas Landwehr has 11 of his 18 wins with finishes, right? I think 9 are via KO TKO and then 2 are submissions. Choi style, you know, he is known to be explosive and aggressive, but you know he's kind of slowed it down a little bit. He's kind of more patient. He's trying to make better decisions. He does have the knockout power, and Landwehr, he's high energy. You know, he likes to come out, he likes to engage, and he likes to throw bombs. I think this is going to be an exciting fight to kick off the main card. It's going to be a great fight. I'm gonna go with Landwehr here. I think he's more active for one. He's been consistent in recent years, and he's showing improvement to his fight IQ and his striking position. I think this fight comes down to who's gonna make the better decisions when it comes to the striking exchanges, right? It comes down to fight IQ. Who do you got?
When it comes to striking, it has to go to Choi. Choi has a piston of a cross, but the heart has to go to Nate. And the inactivity, I wonder what happened. There was a kind of like a.
He's in the military.
Okay, so that's what he's probably serving. You know, South Koreans, you know, it happened all the time with the Korean Zombie and all these cats, right? And they just kind of focus on training and everything. After being back, you know, I like what I see. I was going to pick Nate. I'm going to go with Choi. I think Choi understands that he can't, you know, his conditioning must be better than ever. His sniping, I think he's going to snipe him out. This cat, like Superboy, I think he takes him out, KO.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to verify if he was in the military. It looks like he wasn't. I'm not sure why he's been out.
Probably all those straight losses, right? Like all those concussions. I mean,
no, he's had a. So he was injured. He had a torn ACL.
Oh, really? Yeah. So
after his fight with Charles Jourdain. Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, this is a low for me, champ for Choi. I want to give it a Choi, but I think Nate. This fight is even going into the rounds. I think this is going to be the cardio machine volume striker versus the sniper. If Nate's able to kind of put the pressure early, grapple, switch it up, strike, grapple, switch it up, he could take it. But I just for nostalgia, you know, for those that don't know, my boy Choi is going to be 8 years into the fight of the year when he fought Cub Swanson at UFC Toronto, which I went to. I saw that event live. I saw this kid live. That's not the reason I'm picking him, but I just I like Choi. Let's go with him.
All right. Next up, we have Bryce Mitchell up against Kron Gracie. Mitchell is 16-2-0 and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts. Last losing to Josh Emmett via KO TKO. Gracie, on the other end, is 5-2-0 and is 3-5 in their last 5 bouts. Last losing to Charles Jourdain via unanimous decision. Who do you got for this fight, and why is it on the main card?
I mean, you know, we were talking about maybe it's a Gracie thing, but Bryce Mitchell is must-see TV. My man either is going to say something crazy or get KO'd. You know, 11 months, the KO he suffered from Josh Emmett. I don't think he has to worry about that from Gracie. Now, here's the issue, right? Like, Gracie, I don't know why he's in the UFC, man. I'll be honest with you. Like, Gracie's a good fighter, but I mean that no disrespect, Chan.
Well, he's a jiu-jitsu guy, right? He doesn't have other strengths. He just likes to fight off his back and look for
Brother, I'm gonna be 100 with you, my boy. If I'm Kron Gracie, I'm saying, like, if I'm his coach, brother, you're gonna practice jits 30 minutes a day, but I want you to focus on your striking. Why isn't Gracie focused on his striking? It's his Achilles, and Bryce Mitchell has better striking, and that's a lot to say. It's not the most polished boxing. Sorry, most polished striking. So the question is, if it goes to the ground, who dominates? Because we know my boy Gracie is going to dominate on the ground. So does Bryce Mitchell has the tools to keep it standing up? I'm asking you that question.
He does have the tools to keep it standing up. He's not bad on the ground either. He does have some submission wins. He's okay on the ground. I think he understands not to get too involved and flirt with Gracie on the ground. I think he's gonna be able to get up if this fight does go down to the ground. He's gonna be able to get takedowns too. I mean, Gracie's good at fighting off his back, but he's not good at taking people down, right? I mean, you can get dropped and then
that's the issue.
ask you to come.
I think that's the big issue, right? That's why, like, with both fighters, like, I'm hesitant on Mitchell. I think I'll go with Mitchell with low. I used to love Mitchell. Then he got to the Bible stuff, the Jesus, whatever it is he does. There's nothing wrong with that. I would just like to see him back to OG. Where are my trunks? Arkansas. That, like, focus. Like, if he comes focused, I think keeps it on top. Now, it has to be a low champ. I don't know how my guy's going to perform close to the 1 year. That's a deadly knockout, which I have to say I put money on Emmett. For that reason, but in this fight, I will not be betting. But we're gonna go with Mitchell low.
All right, we're gonna go with Mitchell as well. It's gonna be a low, and then we'll move on. Next up, we have a heavyweight bout. They're running it back. Number 2 for Cyril Gane up against Alexander Volkov. Gane is 12-2-0, and it's 3-5 in their last 5 bouts. Last beating Sergey Spivak via KO TKO. Volkov is 38-18-0. And is 4-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Sergey Pavlovich via unanimous decision. This is their second time meeting. I think this fight's going to look a lot like the first fight. I think Gane's going to utilize his movement, his footwork, his speed, and he's going to pose problems for Volkov. I'm going to go with Gane here. I think it's going to be a lot like the first fight.
So it's interesting because this fight, as soon as Volkov switched camps after the Aspinall fight, he's managed to look very, very good. I've watched all his fights, and my boy got all finishes against Sergey. Sergey's no joke. I think Sergey just needs a resurgence. He's just to switch it up, a little bit of a camp. That's Sergey. But it's hard not to go against Gane, man. Gane is impressive. You need to remember that Gane is very similar. Like, when it comes to Gane's fighting career, you give him Ngannou. He was winning Ngannou, and that that's not an issue. But then you put him with Jones. This kid, his first pro fight was in 2018. So if you're asking me, out of the both fighters, who's in the fight that's coming to his prime or is close to his prime, I say Bongarming, and my boy's Gane. And again, I remember seeing the first one live. It was a fight night. It was pandemic vibes, the Apex. Loved it because he's gonna use his distance, gonna use his range, going to attack. And this is a low, by the way. It's not a medium, it's low. Where I see this fight being a little bit different is that Volkov is not going to strike with him. I see Volkov going more for the grappling. Trying to take has Gane worked on his weak points, which is wrestling. We're going to find out in this fight. But the movement's too good, man. Volkov is the taller fighter, but we were able to see how Gane handled that in this first outing, and is only going to get better from there.
And this fight was initially supposed to be on the UFC 308, Topuria versus Holloway, but that fight got postponed due to Volkov's knee injury. So how is he going to look coming off of a knee injury, right? He's going to be fully healed? Because what we've seen in recent fights is a lot of these fighters are freaking injured, and it's not disclosed, right? And then one of the things that really bugs me is after a fighter loses, they want to come out and say, oh, wow, I was injured. What are we doing, man? Why are you going into these fights? I understand it's a pride thing, it's an ego thing. You don't want to, pull out of fights, but man, take care of yourselves because longevity is a real thing, right? Don't try to go into a fight and try to prove yourself or have all this pride, and then you're gonna end up affecting your longevity. So we'll see how he looks. I'm gonna go with Gane as well. He's gonna be the pick. I think it's gonna look a lot like the first fight. Before we get into this next fight, let me ask you a question. What do you think of Gane's tattoo right there in the center of his chest?
I'm not the biggest fan, brother.
How would you describe it? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know what that is. I don't know. What were the words I used? You're gonna help me out. It's not the most
No.
attractive thing. That right now.
No, we're not. We'll move on to our co-main event, which is a banger of a card. This fight was added late. This card actually was supposed to have Shavkat in the main event up against Bilal Muhammad, but Bilal Muhammad's injured. He had to pull out, and Pantoja was supposed to be in the co-main event. They swapped, and they have another opponent for Shavkat. We have Shavkat Rahkmonov up against Ian Garry in a welterweight bout. Important fight for the division. I honestly believe whoever wins this fight is going to get the title shot next, in my opinion. What do you think? You think that's a safe thing to say?
Yeah, I mean, Dana said it. Instead of creating an interim belt, which again,
I'm glad they didn't. I'm really glad. I had a feeling they
were situation. You got a Tom Aspinall situation now.
I had a feeling they were gonna do it. Remember we talked about it, and I was kind of like, I hope they don't do that, man.
Well, they were probably considering it, right? And an interim belt would just add more value to the card, right? Again, this is the reason why Tom Aspinall's champion, and we got that John Jones ducking situation. That's really what it is, and it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yes.
But yeah, I think so.
What?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. You were gonna say something before I get.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. My boy got Starbucks. Hey, whoa, what's going on? Whoa, you're not sponsored, brother. Turn that to the side, man. They're not a sponsor of the show. What are you doing, man? Giving them free promo.
Yeah, Starbucks need to work on their beans, brother. I don't like the beans. But
is it anything like Tim Burton's? You think Tim Burton's is better?
Tim Hortons.
Oh, Tim Hortons. I'm sorry.
It's owned by the King, Burger King. Okay. Shout out to Dunkin' Donuts. We don't got none of that. But I digress. Going back into this, bro, this fight is very intriguing. It's. I think I spoke about it a little bit on Twitter, and I'll kind of emphasize it again. You have a counter strike. First and foremost, both are counter strikers. If you have to give someone the mobility edge, you have to give it to Ian Garry. Garry has become lethal in and out.
Footwork, yep.
Which is amazing, right? That did not happen against Venom Page. Venom Page did have a lot of success, but my boy had to use the mix in martial arts, and you have to mix it up. This fight is interesting. Shavkat is a tremendous fighter. He understands that he cannot come out of shape. This boy is always in shape. So the question is, does Garry have the unlimited stamina to deal with this guy's takedown defenses? What do you think? What do you before we give our picks?
Yeah. Rahkmonov is 18-0 and is 5-5 in their last 5 bouts. He last beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson via unanimous decision. And Garry is they're both undefeated. He's 15-0. He's 5-5. He last beat Michael Venom Page, as you mentioned, via unanimous decision. Looking at their stats here, their striking accuracy, Ian Garry, his fights have been longer. He has gone to decision, so his striking accuracy percentage is kind of skewed lower. It's at 55%, whereas Rahkmonov's is at 61%, right? But when you look at those numbers, it's because Rahkmonov's fights are a lot shorter, right? So his percentage is going to be a lot higher. Does that make sense? Because he doesn't have more time in the octagon, right? But his takedowns per 15 minutes are at 1.49. So he averages about 2 takedowns per fight. And his takedown defense, as you mentioned, is at 100%. It's at 100%. I think this fight literally comes down to if it does go the distance. It's a 5-round fight, is it? They're gonna make it a 5-round fight, I believe.
5 rounds.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see if this does go the distance. How does Rahkmonov's cardio look for 5 rounds? Because he finishes his fights pretty early, pretty quick.
Yeah.
That's the only concern I have with this fight. And as you mentioned, Garry, he does have the advantages when it comes to striking. He has the finesse, he has the speed, he has the footwork. He's able to move in and out. He can keep it at distance. He can land his precise strikes, his significant strikes, and kind of move around him in the early rounds to avoid Rahkmonov's power and his power shots, right? Rahkmonov does have raw power, man. He has the ability to end the fights in multiple ways. He can knock you out. He can submit you. He can hit you with the ground and pound. He can take you down. I think this fight comes down to the grappling edge. Garry does have competent defense grappling as well. Oh, do you think, man? I don't know. This is gonna be a good fight, man. I'm gonna go with Rahkmonov here because I believe, in my opinion, that he has more paths to victory, if that makes sense, right? Whereas Garry, he does have good takedown defense. He can grapple on the ground, but I think his focal point for this fight is going to be his striking, right? It's going to be, like you mentioned, the counter striking. But I think Rahkmonov has more tools and he's more versatile where he can fight if he's put in different positions to pull out a victory and get out of dangerous situations. So I'm going to go with Rahkmonov.
I was going to go with Rahkmonov, but I'm going to go with Garry. I don't know. They fought before. If you were to tell me that they haven't fought before, it'd be different.
When did they fight?
Well, they in the gym. Sorry, they were training partners, and Garry would get in trouble a lot because he would just film a little bit too much. Now, filming doesn't really mean shit at times, but the fact that these two guys know each other, and the fact that you got to give it to Garry, I mean, if he knows that he can't take this cat's grappling, he would have opted out. I would have said, hey, just give me Joaquin Buckley. But I think Gary's going to surprise us. I think, I'm very much into fighters when they get to the point where they're traveling the world and they're not thinking about the team, but they're worrying about themselves. And I think Ian Garry is a selfish individual that he understands that in order for him to get the win, he needs to, leave his camp and go to other places like Thailand and work with different individuals. Damian Maia is his jiu-jitsu coach. I think they're going to come rock hard. And like I said, I think the in and out, it's going to be interesting. I expect him to not be taken down. And if he gets taken down, it's a low for me on Garry. It's a super hunch. I'm not betting on this fight, but there's something about Garry winning that has me excited.
And if you look at Rahkmonov, he's finished all of his 18 fights, right? He's never gone the distance. He has submission and KO victories. I think he has 8 KO victories and 10 submission wins. So the thing for me is going to be how he looks in the later rounds. How is he going to look going past, if it does go past the second round? How's he going to look in the third and the fourth and the fifth? How's his cardio? But aside from that, you look at Ian Garry, he's taking Neil Magny. Who is he taking the distance? He's taking Neil Magny to a decision. He wasn't able to put him away. He almost lost to Michael Venom Page, depending on how you look at that fight. He was put into dangerous situations. He had a split decision with Geoff Neal. If you put those guys up against Shavkat, how do you think those fights do?
There's a but here. Can I say the but? Wonder Boy Thompson enters the conversation here.
He got submitted. He got tapped out.
Yeah.
And Wonder Boy also has some of the best takedown defense. So if you're going where I think you're going,
no, not that much. But I think Shavkat struggled a little bit with Wonder Boy's footwork, and I think one of the things that Garry has replicated Wonder Boy, but even more efficient, if you ask me. It's like Conor Wonder Boy mixed together in two. So we'll see. That's what I'm saying. I'm basing it on a mobility gamble that he's going to be just floating and in and out. And like I said, like how good is his cardio? Garry, because Garry cannot slow down.
Yeah, and I think this fight can either be really entertaining, really good, or it could be really boring, man. Like you mentioned, he's going in and out. He's going to try to win off points. Going to avoid them. He's gonna fight smart, and sometimes fighting smart is being kind of boring, right? So that is a potential for this fight. But I think overall, this is a great fight. Someone is going to get a 1 on their record, and someone's going to maintain their O. Who that someone's going to be? Who knows? It could be a draw. It could be a draw. It could be a draw, but it's highly unlikely in my opinion. But we'll see. Yeah, Rahkmonov is the pick for myself. It's going to be a low where my man's going to go with Ian Garry.
If this is the draw, mark my words, the next Bilal fight is going to be against Nick Diaz. I'm fucking around. We're not doing that. Nick, we wish
Yeah,
Nick the
well,
best.
I was literally about to pause and be like, "What are you talking about, bro?"
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
All right, next up, we'll go into our main event here. Alexandre Pantoja defending his flyweight title up against the debutant Kai Asakura. Pantoja is 28-5-0 and is 5-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Steve Ursig via unanimous decision. Kai Asakura is 21-4-0 and is 4-5 in their last 5 bouts, last beating Juan Archuleta via KO TKO. This is his UFC debut. He is dropping down in weight. He fought at bantamweight in Japan. So he's dropping 10 pounds. He's making his UFC debut. He's fighting for the flyweight title. He's fighting a step up in competition. He's fighting a grappler in Pantoja. A lot of things are going up against Kai Asakura here. What do you think of this fight? What do you think of the outcome is going to be? Who's the pick? Let me hear the breakdown, brother.
Ooh, I mean, man, big step in the competition. There's a reason why Kai, the only reason why Kai got a chance at the belt. Let's be very honest. He has a very good fan base in Japan. From Ryzen. He brings that mystique into what do you call it, to the UFC, right?
Yeah.
And if you ask me, why would the UFC pit him with this cat versus Kai Kara France or anybody else? It's just the mystique, the fan, the reality. This guy's undefeated in a way, right? Like undefeated in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
This fight is very interesting because everything points for Pantoja to win. Everything. The striking has always been Pantoja's issue. I think Kai's going to come a little bit more prepared. This ain't 2000s where it was hard to get a wrestler. I think Asakura understands and he's been preparing for this fight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Kai. I
Really?
think the upset, there's going to be a new champion. It's good for the division. Good for the division. But again, it's a low. Like, if my boy Pantoja comes out and starts grappling, and my boy doesn't really defend, it's going to be a submission.
Wow. Okay. I wasn't expecting that. I think a lot of reason why this fight was made was because Pantoja has kind of beat everybody that's in contention, right? Twice. He ran it back twice with everybody. And I think Kai making his debut, it's going to be good for them to expand into the Japanese market. As you mentioned, they probably want to go back to Japan. They have Kai, they have Tatsuo Taira, they have a couple people there, right, that they can make a card around. So I think that's going to be a future fight we see. I think Pantoja, man, he has the grappling advantage. He has the exceptional Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He has 10 submission victories. He has great cardio. He can maintain a high pace throughout the fight. This is a championship fight. His striking, as you mentioned, has been a concern. He doesn't have really that much technical striking, but his striking is okay. He's able to excel in the clinch and, the ground and pound, the groundwork is good. Asakura, on the other end, he's aggressive. He's a technical striker. He has 13 KOs on his record. He's fast. But how's he going to look dropping down in weight? Because when you drop down in weight, you lose a lot of your power, right? He's going to be able to maintain his speed probably, more than likely. But how's his power going to look coming down 10 pounds at 125? How's he going to look with the weight cut? How's he going to look cardio-wise going 5 rounds with somebody who pushes the pace like Pantoja and somebody who looks to take the fight down to the ground? I think Pantoja as well, although he's quiet, he understands he's going up against a striker, right? Somebody who likes to finish fights. So I don't think he's going to engage in the striking exchanges. He's probably going to look to take the fight down to the ground and kind of work him that way and get him tired. So I'm interested to see how Kai looks in this fight at this weight class against somebody who pushes the pace like Pantoja. I think respect is going to be earned, but I think Pantoja is going to pull it out. I'm going to go with Pantoja. It's going to be a medium.
And again, this is Pantoja's fight to win, right? Just based off experience, based on 8 American top team knows that they're not. But it's just I would like to see a new blood. That's my only thing with flyweight. It's just Pantoja is like, if you think about it, if what do you call it? Go back, because I was looking at the 2018 victory
Yeah.
of Pantoja versus Moreno. Those cats have fought 3 times already, eh?
Yeah.
Two on the records, one on the Ultimate Fighter. But what I was gonna say was, if Asakura loses, we're about to see 2 back-to-back. Yeah, like I don't know how I feel about that, champ. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I think that's an issue, but that's what happens when you get somebody dominant. One of the things that came out, I think it was this week, is that if O'Malley had won his previous fight, they were probably going to do Pantoja versus O'Malley at 135. That was kind of spoken.
I saw that. I saw that.
Yeah, and I mean, why not, right? Like, champion versus champion, and flyweight doesn't get the biggest. I think flyweight with Moreno is good for the UFC when it comes to money. Flyweight with Pantoja, it's different. This is not a disrespect, but this is a business, and there's a reason why certain fighters, make more money than others, right? Especially when it comes to pay-per-view. Yeah, let's wish the best for Asakura. Yeah, Pantoja probably gets it done, but I got to go with Asakura because the upset. I just don't like it when Pantoja gets fluttered. His striking is just horrible. He still gets it done, champ. Don't get me wrong, but you can, if you're composed and you could see it coming, you could snipe him. And I think Asakura possesses all the skills for this.
Yeah.
And Steven Erg,
Steve Erceg.
Oh my God. Steve Erceg almost won the belt going into the fifth round. There was 2-2. He just decided to grapple. He made the ultimate decision, and it cost him.
Well, styles make matchups, right? Erceg is good at his submission game, but he just made a bad decision, right? And what happened in his next fight? What happened against Kai Kara France? He got starched, right? But I think if you look at the level of competition, as you mentioned, who Pantoja has fought. I mean, he's fought Davison Figueiredo, he's fought Royval, he's fought Erceg, he's fought Perez, he's fought Cape, like Matt Schnell. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, right? Kai Kara France.
This is a big if. Like, the reality is, like,
I think this is going to be a big step up in competition for Kai Asakura, and I think, like as I mentioned, respect is going to be earned. And if he pulls out a victory, then fuck, he's the ultimate dog. What is he at? Plus 200? Wow.
Don't give him a rematch. That's for sure, Pantoja. Like, that's the thing, that division cannot afford rematches. That official needs to have more talent in.
I think regardless of what happens, we're gonna see Asakura versus Tatsuro Taira at some point on a fight night in Japan. Yeah, fight night in Japan.
Well, maybe Asakura wins and you give somebody to. It's just hard, man, because Brandon and Royval's first in line. Brandon is second in line. Like,
and what do you do? What do you do? Let's say if Kai loses, right? Do you do Kai versus Moreno? Do you put Moreno in that position, or do you do the Japan, the fight night
with Kai?
Yeah,
you give it to Royval. That's the thing. You give it to Royval.
No, I'm not saying the championship. I'm saying, who do you give Kai
if he loses?
You
send him to Japan. Have a.
You send
it's good for the market. Yeah, you're right. It's good for the market if he fights the other Japanese fighter. But if he wins, you got to give him Royval. Like, and just based
on Royval, I think we all agree is next in line, right? He looked
the number. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he beat Moreno. Like, it's just. I think Moreno was having an off night, if you ask me. That's the thing about it. The talent in that flyweight division is just so razor thin now. And you got a guy that's just like daddy when it comes to grappling. So,
and if Pantoja does win, what's next? Like you mentioned that he was going to go up in weight and fight O'Malley, right? That was a possibility. Do you think, or would you be excited in a Pantoja versus Merab Dvalishvili fight?
Not really.
That could happen?
No, no. I think they were going to do. If Sean would have beat Merab, instead of giving him Umar, they were going to give him Pantoja. It would just make more logical sense. And they have history, right? Supposedly there was a knockout at the gym, or somebody fought the other one. So, it made for good drama. But if Pantoja wins, you imagine if that man goes up in weight, the chaos that would do. What do you do with Umar?
Yeah, what do you do with Umar?
Yeah. I mean, we don't want Ali tweeting more. We don't want my guy
listen.
more.
Speaking of Ali, since you brought it up, we got into a bit of hot water, man. We got blocked by Umar Nurmagomedov. I wanted to have him on the show. I wanted to have him on the show at one point, bro. Now we can't even contact him because we're blocked.
What's he gonna
What are we doing on Twitter? What's going on?
Speak Russian? You want me to get ChatGPT ready? What are we gonna do? Well, like and bro, all those tweets. Shout out to my guy Ali. Ali's working overtime. He's trying to make these guys money. My boy, I got shit on Thanksgiving. They were, Ali came up and tweeted, and I said, brother, not even happy Thanksgiving. Brother, the European fans were upset. There's no Thanksgiving here, American. I'm not an American. Canadian. I'm not Canadian either. But yeah, bro.
Tell them what you are. Tell the people what you are, man. Go ahead.
Dominican.
He's Dominican. That's why he's the Dominican bad man.
The bad man. But listen, going back into this fight, it's just better for the division if Asakura wins. Like, it's just, I just don't like where it's going with the rematches. And what do you do? You put them on a fight night? What, you put them on a co-main event? Because this fight is co-main event material. Let's be honest.
Listen, brother. I like fairy tales too. I like a good story, but sometimes life doesn't work that way. You get me? Sometimes life doesn't work that way. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
It's good, brother. Good.
Thank you guys all for tuning in, for tapping in. These are our full card breakdown, picks, and predictions. We will drop our picks on X. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you follow us on X. It is in the description below at Combat Sport, guys. We are growing that account. We are at 1,200. We're gonna go to 12,000, and then we're gonna go to 120,000. And then we're gonna go to 1.2 million. Aim high, right, baby? Aim high. So make sure you keep a lookout for that. We're gonna drop our full picks there, and then later on in the week we'll drop our straight money line picks, our parlay picks for you guys to tell and consider. And then, as always, we hold ourselves accountable. We'll talk about them on our recap show to tell you how we did. We've been doing well. I keep track of our cards and our percentile for how we are calling these cards, and altogether we are at a 73% clip since we started on how well we do on these cards. So that's not bad considering that it's like out of 140 fights or 30 fights, we're at a 75% clip. So that's pretty good. Make sure you guys tap in. Make sure you guys follow us. Make sure you hit a like, you hit a subscribe. We don't always agree with each other. If you don't agree with us, let us know in the comments. Let us hear your point of view. It's always done with respect. It's always done with love. We won't take anything personal. Floor Price Guy, any parting words for the people?
No, man, it's the last pay-per-view card of the year. I think it's stacked. I think you got up and rising talent versus OG talent, right? There's a lot of mix and match, and I think we got one more after this, which is Buckley versus the Chaos, and that's gonna be a good fight. Always a pleasure doing this, champ. Take us home. Let's get the fuck out of here.
This is the last pay-per-view card. We will be back on Sunday with our full post recap show, and then we will be breaking down Buckley versus Covington for UFC Tampa. Make sure you guys tap in, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Love what you love, do what you do. We're out.